Airline CEOs are now pleading with Congress to end the partial government shutdown that has 50,000 TSA agents working without pay. Now, some agents have been calling out sick, leading to painfully slow lines at airport security and concerns mounting about the spring break rush. The lines at airports in Fort Lauderdale and Austin were so long, they stretched all the way outside the terminals.
They should be paid. This is ridiculous.
A lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. So, missing a paycheck is a huge deal.
I don't agree with it. I think they should get the paychecks.
I mean, I would definitely want to get paid if I'm doing that job, so it's pretty messed up.
President Trump's message to unpaid TSA agents: keep fighting for the USA. Go to work. Joining me now, Henrietta Trace, co-founder and director of economic policy at Veda Partners. Clint Henderson is managing editor of news for The Points Guy. How bad could all this get?
Every day that it goes on, it's going to get worse because you're going to get more and more sick calls. We're hearing people are just quitting outright from these jobs, and it's not easy to get those folks to come back. So if you're going without a paycheck, eventually you're going to have to do something like get another job, or even do Uber or Grubhub or something to get through the weeks.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're doing Grubhub or Uber and you're working an 8 or 10-hour day, as they often do you want them in charge of security then after that?
Not really. Not really. And every day this goes on, it gets worse and more people quit or more people call in sick. The lines get longer. We've got that combined with storms and spring break right now, and it's a recipe for a real disaster.
And we're not even talking about the price of tickets. No. We maybe get back to that. But Henrietta, there was a recent study by ADP, and this is to the point that we heard from that woman at the airport. 64% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And we've heard from many TSA agents that they are in that group. So you've got the president telling these agents to go to work. I don't know, if you can't put food on your table, if you can't pay your mortgage or your rent, then what are your options then other than to get gig work?
No, the gig economy is what you're working with. And my understanding is about 300 people that are employed by the TSA have decided to quit instead of waiting this out. And frankly, I can't blame them because the president has told Congress to prioritize election-related legislation. He wants to talk about mail-in balloting and transgender people in sports instead of getting these folks back to work. So after, what are we at, almost 30 days of shutdown for the TSA, it needs to come from the top. We've all seen for the last year that the Republican conference takes its guidance from the White House. And the president specifically at the Republican retreat last week said, hey, this is fine. I want you to prioritize the SAVE Act, which, by the way, is not going to pass the United States Senate. He has been told that repeatedly. But Senator Thune, the leader of the Republican conference in the Senate, has said, OK, we'll spend the next 2 weeks dealing with the SAVE Act, and then we'll go on vacation for spring recess. So I was on the Hill all week last week with senators and their staff, and it doesn't appear to me that we're going to get a deal necessarily even before they leave town for the spring recess.
So that suggests maybe not a lot of influence put on them by the airline CEOs who rightfully say that they feel like they're a political football. Let's go to the price of jet fuel as a result of all of this. And I keep hearing from folks anecdotally that they've decided not to do maybe the summer vacation that they've had because prices are too high. They don't know if this airline headaches are going to continue. What might be the large impact, both on ticket prices, but also just on tourism?
I mean, when you have oil prices climbing as fast as they are right now, it's not just jet fuel, which rises rapidly, but it's also across the board increases in expenses. So ground transportation, restaurants, it all goes up. It all is inflationary. Really bad news. And it even causes some airlines to go out of business if it gets really bad. So a fuel shock can be really bad for all of travel, but especially for airlines.
What kind of percentages are we looking at in terms of ticket price rising right now?
So a Deutsche Bank survey out last week said 10 to 50% in some cases. Yeah. So we're telling people at the Points Guy, book your tickets now if you've got travel, even through Christmas, because remember, you can get a credit for if the price drops between now and then, and better safe than sorry for those trips home for the holidays.
Yeah, if you really need to go. Henrietta Trace, Clint Henderson, not the last we'll be talking about this, but thank you both.